My head, it aches like it has never before. My days and nights have become so confused. I no longer know whence I am, or indeed, for that fact, who I am. Am I Gerald Higgins? Have I ceased to be him? For in my mind I have vague memories of a man who was once called by that name. My head spins and is in a constant spin. I feel a great sense of claustrophobia, a sense of forbidding doom that awaits me, much like that of a man who has his head on the gallows, merely awaiting the blade to be released and sever his neck. Even the comforts of my wife cannot help me through this pain I'm going through. I glance at her from time to time, and I see changes in her appearance, her face thinner, her eyes wider and red around the edges, her mouth dribbles constantly. Is she being affected by these spirits that seemed condemned to haunt me? As I looked at her, her face all wretched, I had the urge to kill her, to stamp out her life, to place my cold hands around her neck and squeeze, looking her straight in the eyes, as if there was some personal glory to be settled, to see her squirm, scream, and putrefy in front of me. It was a thought that kept appearing in my mind throughout the day, and one which got more extreme as I thought over it. I seemed to take a gleeful joy out of exploring all the possible ways I could end her life. Where this thought arose, I could not say, but its morbidity would haunt me throughout the dark night. It's strange how a man may think a sin during the day and commit it, but when the night comes, he is taken back by a sense of morality, a sense of guilt, that would make even the coldest of bloods boil. What was it, I thought, that made the night so sobering, so able to make a sinner a saint? Was it that in darkness we are afraid? Throughout the day I had this sense of something being around me. When once my nightmares had been solely at night, now these things appeared to be at all times. Wherever I was, wherever I went, even outside I saw things move strangely, felt odd coldnesses and saw shadows of things that weren't there. There seemed no escape for me, and even now I could feel that something invisible, something deadly and devious was around me somewhere in the room. Maybe the room was full of these things, these spirits, these ghosts that were determined to haunt and disturb me to the brink of my death. I kept flicking my head from left to right, thinking I could catch a glimpse of one of these things, but there was nothing to be seen. I tried with all my might of logic to wish them away, to say I could not see a thing, so it cannot be there, but the feeling of them was inextricably sealed within my very conscience. I took to my bed when the night came, and locked my door. For the footsteps of my wife sent shivers down my spine. I no longer wanted to perceive her haggard and decaying face, but I was drawn to my walls, those that surround me like a cage, my prison, where I had slept night after night, but now, which had been the place of my disturbance. I lay upon the bed, waiting for sleep to overtake me, but sleep seemed beyond me now, as I lie in the darkness, with only the moon and the stars and the hollowing wind as company. I perceived I could hear faint noises. At first I thought I heard groans. I slowly sat up and tried to trace the whereabouts of the strange sounds. It was then I heard the unmistakable sound of scratching at a wall. I looked at all four walls of my room, but there was no one. There was nothing. I placed my ear at one wall, nothing. Then another, also nothing. When I placed my ear at the third wall, I heard it. The sound of scratching from within the wall, from inside the wall, and this time I heard a groan that seemed to be at such a low decibel. It reverberated through the wall to the very center of my body, and I shot back. I started to pick at the wall with my bare fingers. Over the course of a few hours, my hands were worn and torn, and the nails broken, dirt in between them, blood dried around the cuts. But I had to remove this wall. I had to. Whilst I did it, I caught images of the dream I had the day before, the dream of the wet clay-like mud which I had waded through, and with this determination I continued to break the wall with my hands, which were very tired. I chipped away at it with a broken hammer. I used any object I could find. I had to break down this wall. Brick by brick came down until I was deep within the middle of the wall. Where it went, I did not know. To look upon it, it seemed to stretch longer than was possible, longer than my house should be, and yet it did. Then, to my horror, to one side I saw a skull that was stuck into the wall awkwardly. I had the urge to touch the skull. For what reason, I do not know why, but I edged up close to it and placed my hand upon it, and I felt a sensation I'd never felt before. I felt a connection, as if through it I entered into another world. But this world was not one of vision or smell, but one of feeling. Only one sense was alive in this world, for maybe the bones of the dead can only harbour such feelings. I felt as if the black shroud had been placed upon me, as if I was in utter darkness. I felt the horrid sensation of falling, as if I'd fallen out of a tall building to the ground. I felt the feeling of being sick, the time when your stomach is completely empty and no more could possibly come. Then I felt silence, a coldness, a fear so deep that it was as if I fell into it, like an ocean but devoid of water. A still that grabbed my very heart, my very soul, and swallowed it up whole. I knew I was on the brink of some great discovery. I knew that I had to go on further through this wall to be able to answer all the questions that had been posed to me. I knew if I ever wanted to find my sanity again, I had to face this fear. I had to face this fear and crawl through this crack in the wall and battle whatever I found on the other end of it.